What's going on, guys? Jeff Van here, Megatron on the screen. This is going to be my build that I'm trying out on my German line. Note slot 1 on that was the brawling perk, and you're looking at just on my German line here for my tier 7s, looking at the reload times, and this last one here, the Turpits, 19.8 seconds. This is going to be the game that we play. I've played about 4, maybe 5 games with Megatron on the German tier 7s. This is when you're going to see is my lowest damage so far out of them all. You're going to get a pretty good idea that I think that this Megatron actually really works well. Now, normally I am not a proponent, somebody who pushes or condones the use of the brawling perk. Why? Because you sustain a severe hit to your range. Okay, normally it drops it to about 15 and change, almost like below 16, which is just too much. Okay, it's too much of a hit. Now, what is Megatron's primary perk? Increased range of your battleship's main guns. Now, on this Turpits, with that perk active, obviously you get 2 benefits. Number 1 is the reload time reduced by 10%, torpedo spotting by 15 increased. Okay. Those 2 things for brawling battleships are important, hence why it's the main perk on a brawler line, right? But with the negative on, like, let's say Celiacs, right? And just to go over it, everything else is the same as Celiacs on there. Okay, so if you look, you want to know how like the rest of these ship numbers are going to line up. It's my Celiacs build. Okay, the only difference is that the primary perk for Megatron and the slot 1 perk I use brawler as opposed to either the AA or damage control reload. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to the game here. Right, the reason why I think that you can actually get away with that is because of Megatron's primary perk. Now, get away with what? Using brawler in the slot 1. Okay, you can use brawler in slot 1 because the damage is going to be reduced by Megatron slot 1. So on Turpits here, for example, I get 16.6 kilometers. That is more than enough for me. Okay, now take into account the other added bonus. I'm going to be reloading these main guns in under 20 seconds every time. I mean, you're seeing here the amount of shells that I'm able to simply get out. Okay, it's 19 point, I believe it was 19.8 is the exact time. Okay, so darn near 20 seconds. Now, on top of that, my 2 inspirations on Megatron are both secondary battery influencers, i.e., number 1, I have Von Hipper, right? And I have Haruna. So, and then slot 1, again, this is the same setup I have with Celiacs. For the Turpits herself, I have the secondary mod in slot 1 on the ship. We have steering gears in slot 2. Obviously, slot 3, we have to take target acquisition. In slot 4, we have the main battery. Okay, so this whole thing adds up to a ship that gets a lot of damage that can send shells out rapidly. Okay, your main batteries, you can fire them really quickly. Really send those shells out, really get a lot of damage that way. And your secondaries are going to start kicking in at 8.6 kilometers. Now you say, oh, that's not that great, but look where the Scharnhorst is. All right, those secondaries are going to start kicking off here. All right, and when those secondaries start, again, main batteries, the combination of these secondaries flying off, these main batteries, we're talking about a ship now that is going to be such a damage dealer and can really just hit people so hard. It's devastating. Now, on top of that, okay, we also have the 5 heals. The biggest difference is obviously Megatron slot 1 perk. It makes this brawling perk worth it. Okay, it makes this class, this line, whatever you want to call it, a legitimate option. Okay, 16.6 kilometers on this is enough range. Okay, if you're fighting in the Turpits outside of 16.6 kilometers, I got news for you. You're doing it wrong. Okay, you're playing Turpits wrong. Bismarck is the same thing. Okay, the only ship that I would say don't use this in the German tier 6 and tier 7 tree, okay, There's 2 ships. From tier 6 on up in the German battleship line, there are 2 that I would say do not use this specific build on, as of this point. And that is, number 1, the Gneisenau. Okay? And number 2 is the Grosse Kurfürst. Now, the reason why I say those 2, Gneisenau's base firing is 16.1. That's not very far at all, as it is. You don't have the luxury, okay, to how do I want to say it? You don't have the luxury to basically be dealing with reducing that even more. Okay, so I would say on that, I would still stick with celiacs. Okay, and with the Kurfürst, you cannot sacrifice the range as well. Okay, 17.2 or 17.3, whichever off the top of my head here I'm going with. You cannot afford to reduce that even more because legendary tier is basically like trench warfare. Nobody moves. And you don't have the luxury to basically push into situations and engage people like that. So you have to play it a little more passive. Okay, therefore you need something that at least can fire the 17 point whatever. Okay. That's where I'm at with that. Now let's talk about why I think that this build really actually works on the Bismarck, on Odin, on Tirpitz. Okay, it's basically a sub 20-second reload. Okay, and obviously on Bismarck it's 20 point whatever the number was in the beginning, 20.6, 20.8, whatever it was. But again, that is that's a good solid number. Okay, because these other battleships at this tier, you're going to be able figure the Iowa. It's 28 second reload, something like that. Again, you're going to have the fastest reload out of any basically battleship outside of Odin and some of these other smaller caliber ones at tier 7. You're going to be able to do substantial damage and seriously punish people for their decisions and their mistakes. Okay? Now, again, situation, the secondaries are going off, right? Okay, we get a secondary kill. I haven't fired HE out of these guns once. Okay, out of the main batteries. We got 3 fires. Those 3 fires are strictly results of the secondaries. Okay, 8.6 kilometers. That's a working secondary range. Okay, now again, 16.3. Okay, he's still in our firing range even with the Brawler perk with this Megatron build. Obviously, we take a pretty big salvo there. Now you're going to be trading dispersion, yes, but if I can reload in every 20 seconds, sub 20 second reload, okay, that gives me the chance to throw so much at the wall, right? We've talked about this concept in the past on this channel. If you have the opportunity to throw shells at the wall, right, eventually they're going to hit. You're eventually going to get some hits. Eventually things are going to connect, okay? So that is where I'm at so far, okay? Again, I've played probably 5 games in this with this commander. I played it on Tirpitz a bunch of times. I have played it on Odin. And let me just say this. Odin gives you a sub 16 second reload. That is a cruiser. That is a cruiser style reload, okay? With basically low caliber battleship guns. I mean, that is devastating, okay? So I'll have a video coming out with that so you guys can basically see where I'm at with that. But I think that a lot of people are sleeping on this Megatron. And I think that basically, from where I sit, I think it actually might be the best commander for the German line. And obviously I don't have Vageline Scharnhorst, so I don't have much to compare there, but the base perk makes choosing Brawler not such a detriment. And anytime you're in these German battleships and you have a secondary build that gives you 8+ kilometers on a secondary reach, the insane turtleback armor that does a great job of mitigating damage, and you also have torpedoes on Tirpitz, Odin, Gneisenau, Scharnhorst, all of these. And now you're cutting that reload time on the main battery down and increasing the range of the secondaries. Your damage potential output is going through the roof. Through the roof. Okay? So even when I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, well, I don't feel like I'm having great games here, right? Like, I didn't really even realize that I would probably use this as a video until at the end of the game. Oh, wow, okay. I'm just playing this through. I'm not concerned about my damage number. I'm not concerned. I'm concerned about getting into the B cap here. I'm concerned about guaranteeing a win, right? So when you have these opportunities and you just keep throwing shells out, throwing shells out, throwing shells out, and again, I'm already at almost 10 seconds before those shells even hit the water, right? So my ability to throw shells out and deal damage in this shit, I mean, it's incredible. Okay. A sub 20-second reload on a battleship at tier 7 is devastating. It is. It's flat out devastating. So my advice to you guys out there is, if you can get, I guess the time has passed on that, getting Megatron. But if you do have Megatron and you're not using it, I strongly recommend giving it a look. And I recommend giving it a look with the Brawler perk, okay? You saw my Megatron Commander is 16 level 2. Yes, I have put a good amount into it. But I feel semi-comfortable doing that because I use Megatron also as an inspiration on some of my other battleship lines, okay? On my Madden and Willis Lee, it is now a staple on there. I've replaced Cunningham with that Megatron perk. And you could say, well, you don't agree with that, you think that's a bad choice. Again, I'm trying to try some different things out there, trying to throw a little bit different looks at people. But I'm telling you, this Megatron perk, it is going to, in my opinion, change the way that you feel when you play this Turpins. I don't feel as vulnerable when I go into an engagement and I'm outnumbered now. Why? Because my main batteries are reloading so much faster. My secondaries have that much better dispersion and grouping, and I have that much more reach on my secondaries, where I can now push in and not just be a torpedo threat, but I have very quick firing main batteries. I have secondaries that reach and can do damage. It makes this whole ship as an entire unit more deadly, in my opinion, and a much, much higher damage dealer. Outside of having, let alone the 5 heals, right? That gives you that extra survivability. In your slot 3 perk, you have the Firefighter, which increases your reload speed on your damage count and reduces your fire chance by 12%. 15, I think, if you have it maxed. So again, we're talking about a ship, a class, basically, in my opinion, I didn't view Megatron originally as really worth it. And then I threw it on there and I looked at some of the numbers and I said, oh wow, this actually could really, I think this could work out. Okay. I've played it, like I said, about 5, maybe 6 times at the most. And this game is the lowest damage game I've had. Okay. It's just, man, I'm telling you guys, I don't often condone or push to get a premium commander or anything like that, because I think that the base commanders will do it. But I'm telling you, if you had a choice between Hyde and this commander, I think this commander all day. I really do. And I like Henry J. Hyde, but I just think this commander is so much of a better choice. It fits the German line to a T. You see we get the sinking there. Again, check out Megatron, guys. If you guys like the video, leave it a like. I'm going to have more Megatron coming out, and we will see you guys out on the high seas.